Hello everybody and welcome to another reaction video, and today we're going to revisit Vektor, or Vektor, however you want to pronounce it. Now, first time I listened to Vektor, when I read up about them it said that they were a thrash metal band. Now, when I listened to them I wasn't quite sure that was an accurate description, because whilst the music was indeed fast and very, very heavy, it just didn't seem to fit into what I thought thrash metal was, especially the vocal style. But that was just my personal opinion. As is all of this, nobody should take any of my opinions on here to heart. It's just what I personally think. It's not what I'm telling you that you should think. And I'm only saying that because there have been a few people in the last few days that have been taking stabs at me for being wrong. But anyway, moving on. Today we're going to listen to a track called Pillars of Sand. I tried to do a little bit of research into what the song might be about, and all I got was Pillars of Sand is the 8th track on Vektor's 3rd album. It describes the way in which the protagonist of the story controls society by controlling enocules, the substance that grants immortality. Does that mean anything to any of you? Because it means absolute bugger all to me. Anyway, when I listened to Vektor the first time, it was a track called Tetrastructural Dimensions, I think it was. Or Tetrastructural Beings? Tetrastructural Beings, I think it was. Anyway. And I concluded that their albums were probably concept albums. So there's a possibility that I might not fully understand the meaning of this song, because it could be part of a much bigger story. So we'll have to see as we go on, but I've been waffling on for 2 minutes now. I think we should just get straight into it. I'll put a link to the original video in the description below, as I usually do, and yeah, so here we go. Vektor, Pillars of Sand. Well, once again, the music here is really fast, really heavy, and there is that sort of high tone, growled / screamed lyrics, which I didn't actually expect in the first one. When I heard that it was thrash metal, I definitely did not expect that vocal style. Music here seems to definitely be a lot more thrashy than it was when in the first track that I heard, Tetrastructural Beings. I'm sure that's what it was called. Can't remember. But anyway. But once again, it's like your sort of fantasy, futuristic storytelling like they did in the first one. Because when I listened to the first one, I liked them very much, likened them to another band that I'm very fond of called Nocturnus, who in turn also sing a lot of futuristic songs. And the artwork to this album, if the image in the bottom corner of the screen down here if the artwork for that is actually the album cover, it's very much like the cover art for Thresholds and The Key, the first two Nocturnus albums I ever listened to. So in a way they follow very similarly to Nocturnus. The vocal style is quite different, but the music and subject matter is very similar. As for the actual story, as I said before, it is the protagonist controlling society by his control of a substance called enocules to grant immortality. And there's a couple of lines here. Time warps these hallowed grounds as if to draw a line in the sand. Time brings disdain for the weak. Time is what I have. With Reaper squad still dispatching, you place your hopes on pillars crashing. So, time brings disdain for the weak. So, like, it has no time for the weak. You know, as time wears on, the weak will die before the stronger. And he says, time is what I have. So, because he controls these enocules or what have you, he's got all the time in the world because he is immortal, essentially. And there's that last one there. You place your hopes on pillars crashing. Pillars of sand are so brittle that they'll just crumble. You know, under any pressure, it would just crumble. I think that's what they're suggesting. So you're placing your hopes on something so fragile, you know, that it would just disappear in a moment's notice. I think that's what they're saying. And again, there's that line there. Time is a clock on the wall we command, and its hands made of pillars of sand. So it's like what the hands represent at a certain time. It's gone within a matter, you know, it's gone within seconds, literally. You know, nothing that the hands represent stays for very long. I think that's essentially what it's saying. So that's, you know, it's quite an interesting way of putting it. And the track is, again, like I said, it's fast, it's heavy, it's quite interesting. We'll carry on. It's quite an interesting story. It actually reminds me of a movie. I think the movie itself is called Time. Had Justin Timberlake in it, I believe, where they had like a clock on their forearm, and it told them how long they had to live, and they could like buy or steal time from killing other people and stuff like that. Because it says here, I have built an empire on the dust of Alsane. Collection sales extract the enocules from the vast mines of space. So that's obviously how he's collecting this really rare and obviously sought after substance. And it goes on, and so we live as ageless men from the time the reaction begins. So it's like we don't age from the moment like we interact with these enocules, I'm guessing. The dispenser is strapped to your wrist. You are shackled to my every whim. You are enslaved by the promise of tomorrow. You've paid the price for the time that you borrow. So it's like the dispenser strapped to your wrist. So obviously there's something probably similar to a watch that they've got on their arm, and that's how the enocules are introduced into the body, into the system to keep them forever young. And it says you are shackled to my every whim. You are enslaved by the promise of tomorrow. So it's like, because he controls these sought after enocules, he basically he has complete dominance over these people. So it's like, if you want to live, you will do what I tell you, and I will grant you longer life. And it says there, you pay for the time that you borrow. So it's like, you're asking me for extra life, and you will do what I say. So it's an interesting story. The protagonist of, why can I not say that word? Seems to be a bit of a douche balloon, in my opinion. You know, sort of like controlling a substance that everybody wants, and he's using it to get his own way. So, interesting. Like I said, though, I'll have to seek out a whole album with this so I can actually see the entire story. Let's carry on. It's fascinating stuff, this. I love the way they're telling the story. It says here, like, time moves like a crack in glass, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. We all know the fate of the pain, but we move forth, piling on more strain. What a great set of lines that is, because, like, time moves like a crack in a glass. It's inevitable. It's always going to move. It's not just going to sit there. It will spread. Sometimes it will move really, really slowly. Sometimes it will just go zip, and the whole. And it says we all know the fate of the pain. So, regardless of whether it's slow or fast, sooner or later that pane of glass is going to shatter and break and fall apart. And it says, but we still move forth, piling on more strain. So it's like, you know, regardless of the fact that the pane of glass is cracking, it's still going to carry on, and there's still going to be more pressure applied to it. So sooner or later, it will break. It's inevitable. It's an inevitable end. And it says, on the glass of melted sand, because let's face it, glass is made out of sand, forged by our greedy hands, on the path that we choose to belie, it makes us feel alive. So we carry on along this path, knowing that eventually we're all going to die, and that, but we still carry on, choosing not to believe it. So, where is it? And I'm very curious to find out more about this the world, the galaxy that this is all based around, because they're talking on about Reapers docking in Cygnus Point and the Nebula of Aquila. You know, I'm curious to know where the stories originate from. You know, how they came to these stories. And again, this leads me to, I'd like to actually hear one of the entire albums, so I can hear, you know, so I can hear the story as a whole rather than just the parts that I've heard. It's very interesting. I do like it, and the music is really, really good. The vocal style, again, really good. It's not what I expect from what is deemed to be thrash metal. I still don't agree that it is thrash metal. I mean, it's fast, yes. It's definitely got a thrash quality to it, but I wouldn't personally class this as thrash metal. But it is good. It's very enjoyable. I will have to get my hands on some of their albums. I liked it very, very much. But we'll leave that as it is. If anyone would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, drop a comment in the comment section below. You can message me on my Facebook page, also linked below, or you can message me on Instagram, also linked below. So if you have suggested a track and it hasn't come up yet, rest assured it is coming. My list is getting enormous. It is getting absolutely huge, and I'm getting to them as fast, or, you know, one a day. I'm trying to get to them as fast as I can. So they are coming, and so rest assured, you know, it will happen. Metalhead Reacts is also a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity, helping to put an end to hate crimes and helping to support victims of those hate crimes, whether those crimes be your personal choice of lifestyle, whether you live an alternative lifestyle such as the music you listen to, your gender identity, your sexual preferences, your religious choices. You know, they're trying to put an end to people getting bullied, persecuted, threatened just for not fitting into what the societal norm. Everybody has a right to be an individual. No one should feel threatened for being an individual, and that's what they're fighting for, and it's something that's very, very close to my heart. If you wish to know more about it, there's a link down in the description to take you to the Sophie Lancaster website, where you can find out more about them. But we'll leave that as it is. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.